Today I will show you how to integrate your SonarQube Cloud or Sonar Cloud with Microsoft Entra ID. I have my Sonar Cloud instance here. I will follow pretty much this documentation about setting up SAML SSO. There are two steps. One is generic SAML SSO prep steps, and then there is actual configuration. I will walk through all of that. So let's start. First, I will have to log in into my enterprise. And because SAML SSO is not configured here, I will have to use one of these DevOps logins. In my case, I will use GitHub. I will authenticate with GitHub. You will see that in top right corner, there will be a pretty GitHub icon. There it is. So I'm logged in with my GitHub account. And because I'm admin in my enterprise pops up on the list, and I will go there. Now, the first step, before we even start configuring any SAML SSO, the first step is to actually create proper groups within my enterprise, or to be more exact, within organizations in my enterprise. I can use this SSO integration with my IDP to actually manage group memberships from Entra ID. But in order for that to work, I will have to do some extra steps on configuration side, but also I have to create groups which match exactly the name in my Entra ID. So let's do that. I will go into my organization. I click on groups. I will click on create group, and I will go into my Entra groups and copy the group names which I want to use. I want to use these two groups, one for admins and another one is for users. So I've created two groups here, and while I'm here, I will go and I will fine-tune some permissions here. If I go into groups, what I can do, obviously it's different for every company, but in my case, let's say I will give admins permissions to manage the whole organization plus quality gates and profiles, but for normal users, they will be able to execute analysis and create projects. So that's my permissions. They already set up. Now we can go and follow GitHub, follow Sonar's documentation about how to actually configure my integration. There are some generic procedures, but since I have Microsoft Entra ID, I will go into documentation specific to Microsoft Entra ID. The first step will be to go into my enterprise applications list and click on new application. And because Sonar doesn't have application in Entra Gallery, I will have to create my own. Let's give it some descriptive name, Sonar Cloud. That's my application name, and make sure to click on integrate any other application option. Click on create button. Once application is created, it will pop up on the list of my enterprise applications in my tenant. So let's click there, let's refresh, and there it is. This is the one. If it's a real application which I'm going to use later, I would usually go and into properties and maybe put some pretty picture here just to be able to easier identify it, but I won't do it here. Now, my next step is to actually click on single sign-on, click on SAML, and actually start configuring the integration. It's very well explained here in this step 2. So the first one will be to modify these two fields or populate these two fields. The value for those fields will come from your admin page related to SAML SSO on Enterprise in Sonar Cloud. So if you load that page, there will be a few fields which you simply copy and paste. So SP Identity ID, Service Provider Identity ID, goes into your identifier, and single sign-on URL goes into reply URL. Now save it. Just wait for a little bit until it's saved. Now it's saved. Let's close that. Next step is to fine-tune these attributes and claims. In general, you don't need to modify here anything, but in order for us to be able to synchronize group memberships, we do need to add a group claim. So we will click on this button, select groups assigned to the application. So we will only synchronize whatever is assigned to the application. And we will pick the source attribute. There are really only two options, SAM account name or cloud only. This option is only for cases if you use Active Directory on premises and synchronize with your Entra ID in the cloud. But in my case, I use cloud only option, so that's why I pick cloud only group. And click on save. You can see that that option is no longer available, and one more claim has been added here. Now, if I go back, the next step is to actually link our Entra ID with our Sonar Cloud instance. And in order to do that, I'll copy this login URL, paste it here. Now, I will need to load this certificate. Actually, I need to download a new one by clicking on this download button. So I click on download button. Now it's downloaded. I go back into here, choose the file, open it. We're done with that. And last step is to populate these three values. They will come from our attribute section. So if I click on edit, I can get those values here. So there is email address. So I copy that, paste it in email. Then there is whatever I use for login. So for login, we use user principal one. So user principal is this URL. And the last one is the name. Name is what will be displayed as user's name once they've logged into Sonar Cloud. So I will use given name. There is a little bit of a problem here, and I will explain it later and how I fix that. So I click on Save Configuration. So I'm pretty much done. From here, I have two options. I can give my users this key and say, use it when you log in, or I can give them the whole URL to use. So I have this user, completely different browser, completely different user. Let's see if she can log in. So now the user will log in with SSO. So I can provide a key here, or remember I had a URL. I can just click on that URL, go there. It will take me to exactly the same screen here with this key already pre-populated. Once user click on login, you will see that the request will go to Microsoft, and we get a problem. And this is a problem which you will likely to get if you forget one important step. And let's go, I will show you what I forgot. I've created an application for my integration. So everything is great. The only problem is I haven't assigned any users or groups to it. So even though the integration is configured properly, nobody can authenticate. against my application. Well, in order to fix this problem, I will have to add either groups or users here. So I had two groups created specifically for my case, so I will add those here. Now that they are assigned, and if we go into group admins, you will see that my user Alana, actually a member of that group. So now if Alana goes back and try to authenticate again, let's try it again. This should work now. That worked. The reason why the login window from Microsoft did not appear here is because I probably have already session existing in my browser for Alana. That's why. So that session already saved in the browser. That's why it didn't ask me for a username. Or maybe I'm wrong. But if it's completely incognito browser or Alana hasn't logged in into has not authenticated against my identity provider, a window from Microsoft would pop up. Now this one is already a request for OTP from Sonar, and there should be an email for Alana to provide OTP. Let's see if it worked. Voila. You can see that Alana is authenticated by SSO. She is not admin of the enterprise, but she is admin of this organization because remember, I've added a Sonar Cloud admins group give Sonar Cloud admins group organization admin permissions, and Alana is part of that group. So automatically she has admin permission to that organization. But there is a little bit of a problem here. The name which appears here is Alana. It's probably fine for small companies, but in companies with thousands of employees, you probably want something more descriptive, maybe first name, full name, or something else. So in order to fix that, what we can do is we can go back into our single sign-on, and in attributes section, we can create a new claim. Before I do that, let me copy this string, and you'll see why I do that. I'll copy that, and I click on Add New Claim. And let's call it full name, or I can do first, last name. It doesn't really matter. I'll paste that URL which I copied. Now, here I have a few options. I can use one of these transformations and go fancy with what I want to show. So technically, I could go as far as show first name, last name, open bracket, team name, or department, close bracket. There are different ways you can configure it. But I'll go simple. I just want to show the full name. And for that, there is actually a field already existing field within Entra, which I can reuse. Display name. Display name is for first and last name. And I'll save that. Now what I'll do is I'll take that URL, first and last name. I copy that, and I will go back and edit this part. I'll edit this part and save it. Now let's see what happens if Alana logs out and logs in. And what I will also do is I will log out Alana from Microsoft account. See if the if this login window will appear. Or maybe it's Maybe she's already logged out. Oh, she's already out. Or maybe let's try this. Log in and log out, just to be sure. And sign out. Now it's signed out. Let's see. Now Alan logs in. Login with SSO, that's correct key. Click on login. And you see window pop up. So now Alan has to go through authentication with Entra, provide the password, and I have a password here. And it should come back into Sonar. And there we are. Let's see. Now you see it shows as Alana Grant as the full name. So that's how you can fine tune your attributes and claims and display pretty much whatever you want in this area. So that's how you configure Sonar Cloud with your Entra ID. The process is pretty much well explained in the documentation. Just for documentation, you will be fine.